Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be going over the changes coming to Bard in Final Fantasy XIV's next expansion, Stormblood. Now, in the last video that I did at this, no more than maybe a week ago, we were talking about changes that came out of the live letter number 36, or anything that was revealed in the job action trailer. This footage is coming to you right here from the media tour, which I got to attend the week prior to the live letter. So these are thoughts of how it is actually set up numerically and the way that abilities interact with one another, and it's going to be based on gameplay that may make it into the live servers. Please keep in mind that everything you see or hear here, numerically, animations, everything is still subject to change until June 16th. So as excited as I am to talk to you about how Bard's going to be changing in 4.0, it could still be even different by the time we actually get to it, so just please keep that in mind. So first we're going to remind you that cast times are gone on Bard. You're getting to see the beautiful animations as they're going right here. You can even see a Paladin make an appearance over there on the right hand side. And I also want to go over the things that remained mostly the same before we go into all the new stuff like the songs and any of the other changes. So things that are the same, Straight Shot and its buff are still the same. Heavy Shot proccing Straighter Shot is still the same. Raging Strikes is there. You have Venomous and Wind Bite still, but they will eventually upgrade to Caustic Bite and Storm Bite at higher levels. You have Iron Jaws still, you have Sidewinder still, Repelling Shot is still there. Quick Knock is there, but the other AoE that no one was using anyway is gone, so that's gone now. Bloodletter and Rain of Death are still here. Imperial Arrow is still here. Barrage is still here, but I want you to keep in mind something about Barrage. Barrage still doesn't allow the weapon skills to crit. However, Barrage can directly hit, so you may see some big exclamation mark numbers whenever you actually use Barrage now. Paon is still in, the one that gets rid of the debuffs that people just pretty much use on warriors prior to Stormblood, and other than that, everything else is different. Let's get to it. So the main mechanic people probably want to know about are the songs, because in the job action trailer you see Ballad, Paon, and Minuet with these new fancy UI animations and stacking musical notes and arrows, so let's cover that first. Ballad, Paon, and Minuet all deal damage to the target now when applying their effects. After hitting the target with them, you apply an AoE buff to the rest of your party, and your goal is going to be to maintain those songs 100% of the time. Each of them has a 30-second timer that it lasts, but has an 80-second cooldown. So if rotated properly, you can maintain them for 100% of the time. Now the buffs that Ballad, Paon, and Minuet actually provide have all changed. They are now all 2% crit rate to all party members in range. This means, if played correctly, the rest of the group has 2% higher crit for the entirety of the fight. They don't cost MP to use anymore, so you don't need to worry about that. Foe's Requiem is the only song that's going to use MP, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Now, each of these three songs, Ballad, Paon, and Wanderer's Minuet, each provide the Bard a personal passive buff for their duration. All of these buffs are triggered when Caustic Bite and Storm Bite have their dots critically hit, similar to the way that River of Blood worked in 3.0. Also, Imperial Arrow will automatically proc whatever passive effect is available, whichever song you have. So Ballad's passive is that it gives the old River of Blood trait, which is no longer a permanent trait. You'll only get resets on Bloodletter and Rain of Death when you're under the Ballad effect. To give an example of Imperial Arrow, that means that if you use Imperial Arrow while under the effect of Ballad, you will automatically reset your Bloodletter timer. Paon allows you to build stacks that increase your damage dealt and your attack speed. It stacks up to 4 times, and again, Imperial Arrow will give you 1 stack automatically. Finally, Wanderer's Minuet allows you to gain arrow stacks, which can then be expended on a new attack you get called Pitch Perfect. Pitch Perfect uses all the stacks and does more damage based on how many stacks you have. Again, Imperial Arrow guarantees you a stack. So ultimately, your goal is to go from song to song to song throughout the fight and maintain your uptime as well as possible. Now, I did mention Foe's Requiem earlier, but I didn't list it under things that remain the same. That's because the effect of Foes has been completely changed. It's still there, it still costs MP to play the song, however, it now lowers the amount of damage dealt by enemies in range. That can still change before June 16th, but that's currently what it does, and it's just by a small percentage. Battle Voice was also changed. Now it gives a flat 15% direct hit buff for its duration, as opposed to buffing the effect of all the other songs. As for the old effects of Paon and Ballad, which you're probably wondering where they went, they've been moved into the cross-roll abilities Refresh and Tactician, and Machinist also has access to those skills. Now on top of all these changes to the existing songs, Bard also got some new songs that they can play. One of the new songs is Nature's Mine, or Mini, or whatever it's pronounced, provides increased healing to all nearby party members and self, similar to a mantra effect. It's not a song you have to maintain like Ballad or Foes, you just hit the button and it's basically the equivalent of a mantra. The other new ability they got is more interesting. It's called Troubadour, and it grants a party buff based on which of your 3 major songs that you are currently playing, and it grants this buff to all nearby allies. So if you use Troubadour while Ballad is in effect, it'll increase all your nearby party members' max HP. If you use it while Paon is active, it'll reduce the physical damage that all of your allies take nearby you by 10%, and if you use it while Minuet is active, it'll reduce the magic damage taken by your allies while they're standing near you. Means that learning when to rotate your songs in a fight may be different depending on the fight. Maybe you want Paon up at a specific point so that you can Troubadour to get that bonus effect, or maybe you want Ballad up to increase everyone's max HP at some point. It's going to really depend on where you want to be in the fight at any given time. It's also worth remembering that because Ballad, Paon, and Minuet require a target to cast on, that if there are no targets available, you can't just switch to a song and give the Troubadour effect. It needs to have a little bit of forethought there. Now those are all the major changes, a very song-oriented thing, which is great for Bard, and I'll talk about that again in a little bit. But other than that, your goals are fairly similar as a Bard. You still want to keep that straight shot buff up, you still want to keep your dots up, you still have Iron Jaws to do that, and heavy shot is also filler. Additionally, now you have to bounce between your songs, so it's a lot of buff maintenance, especially considering you'll get Bloodletter procs during one thing, and then you'll get these Pitch Perfect procs, and then you have another new ability, which we'll go over in a second here. That new ability, which I almost completely forgot about, was Refulgent Arrow. So it's an alternative to using your straighter shot procs. It can only be used when you have a straighter shot proc, and it doesn't provide the crit buff like straight shot does. So basically, it's for when you get those straighter shot procs, and instead of using straight shot and just getting the buff again, you'll instead use Refulgent Arrow and do a lot more damage. Finally, I already brought up Refreshing Tactician earlier, so we might as well talk about the cross-roll abilities for Bard and Machinist. Now, the Silent Stun, Bind, and Heavy effects, all of which Machinist has, and some of which Bard used to have, those are all in the cross-roll now. Swift Song, Second Wind, Invigorate are all also cross-roll. That covers almost every cross-roll ability for Bard and Machinist. There is one new one that I suspect Bards and Machinists will always take, and it's an ability called Palisade, which allows you to target a party member and reduce the physical damage they take by a pretty large percentage for a short time. So ultimately, how did I feel about Bard? Everybody knows I'm just like so sick and tired of Bard after being forced to play it in 2.x. I really had a lot of fun playing the new Bard. They replaced the fact that you have cast times, you have your auto attacks back, and on top of that, you just have all of these things to maintain, and it feels so good to be weaving on Bard again without those cast times in there. I didn't mind the cast times before, but with how active the playstyle is for Bard now, even when you're on the move, it's just so satisfying to get those Refulgent Arrows and use your straighter shots at the right time on that or on a straight shot, to balance between your songs and to get those procs and to get those Pitch Perfect uses and to get those Bloodletter procs. It's so many procs, but it was a lot of fun. And honestly, I wouldn't be opposed to raiding as Bard again with some of the changes that came here, because I just had so much of a blast. I know you only see me in Summerford Farms in this video, but I just wanted to play it. I just kept wanting to play it. I couldn't avoid it. But anyway, again, all those changes, I'm getting a little too excited. All those changes are subject to change, and those numbers or the way they interact with each other could change by June 16th. So please keep that in mind, that none of that's permanent, and honestly, I hope it is though, because it was a lot of fun. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for all the other information that's coming out of the media tour now that the embargo is finally up and I can talk about it. Super excited. Anyway, be sure to be on the lookout for more videos. I'll see you in the next one, and until then, take care.